with Corinne Fernari, clinical nutritionist, physician assistant, and Carol Peterson, pharmacist. Listen, learn, and I hope you enjoy the show. Bye!
Welcome back. This is Take Charge of Your Health with Corinne Fernari, clinical nutritionist and physician assistant, and my co-host, Carol Peterson, pharmacist. Every week, we present you with new and creative ways to help you make sense of health information and bring it home to you and your family. With years of clinical experience between us and research into traditional and cutting-edge technologies, we give you practical information to help you take charge of your health. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're here today with I'm Corinne Fernari, and I'm here today with my co-host. Whoops. Carol, do you hear me?
How about Carol Peterson?
Yes, you're there. Yay.
No, we don't hear her on the air. We don't hear. I can't hear her on the air.
Ay, ay, ay.
I hear an echo.
Ay, ay, ay. I do not know what's happening.
Okay, whatever you got to do, Carol, you got to unmute something.
Okay, I unmuted one thing, got an echo.
Because I'm only hearing you through the feed via Corinne, not from your end.
Okay, see, I'm not muted on my, okay.
Can you hear me?
How's this?
I hear you.
Hey, thank you, Reggie. Nice to have you back.
Definitely. So today we have quite an interesting show. I can guarantee you today, it's a subject we all know. We all think we know everything about it or a large majority about it. But I can guarantee you today you're going to learn something. And it's quite special. You know, we all think of sleep as something that's passive, where we go to sleep and it's just our relaxation time. We never really think of how much activity and balancing is taking place while we sleep, how we are balancing our hormones, how we are creating hormone rhythms that last us throughout the day, how we are preparing for the next day, and how we're protecting our brain. And it goes on and on what sleep does for us. So today, the underappreciated sleep is going to be our show. We're going to discuss sleep. We're going to discuss it. We're going to follow the circadian rhythm and the rhythm of sleep and how it affects our hormones. And literally, right down to everything, right down to our appetite, to our inflammation, to our fertility, to our growth hormone, to testosterone in males and in females, and the balance between estrogen and progesterone and cortisol. It goes on and on. We always talk about, it just keeps on going.
It keeps on going.
We always talk about adrenal fatigue. Where does it come from? It can very often, it comes from our night's sleep. Carol?
Yeah, tired and wired.
Tired and wired.
Tired and you can't sleep. I would say one of the most important priority things that I hear about when I'm consulting is I can't sleep. I'm not getting enough sleep. I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't get back to sleep. So I'd like to untangle that scenario because hormones are definitely involved, and the major hormone systems that I like to look at, insulin and glucose are involved, your adrenal hormones are involved, sometimes thyroid, and finally sex hormones. And my favorite hormone actually stays in two places. With the adrenal hormones, and with the sex hormones, and that's progesterone. So I would like to comment, and then Corinne, you say what you've seen in your practice. But I have had great success, sometimes only with progesterone, for women and men who do not have enough progesterone. And we have an underlying current going on in the whole medical community where they're afraid to use progesterone.
Which
Way
I
back.
don't get that at all, because progesterone is relatively so benign. Of all the hormones, it's the
So
most benign. Go on, Carol.
yes, and it's really quite astonishing and horrors. Men don't need progesterone, but they certainly do. I'd like to put in a plug for our Facebook page. Corinne and I started Progesterone for Men. But let me get back to the sleep issue. So I have been able to recommend progesterone, and usually the amounts I start with 200, 300 milligrams daily. That would be men and women, and possibly going up even higher for women, depending on their levels of anxiety. And there's a couple pathways that progesterone takes to help you sleep, which we can go into later. But you may have experienced this in your clinical practice too. Starting on some very generous progesterone doses can restore sleep that same night. And
It's quite
women
amazing.
women who said they haven't had a decent night's sleep in
In
decades even,
years.
if you give them generous, I have to really emphasize generous, because if you use too little, you can have some adverse reactions like increased stimulation and breast tenderness and headache, and it simply means not enough progesterone. So, Corinne, what about your experience with clients with this?
Well, it's very funny because right before we came on air, I got a phone call from a patient who was saying, I'm sleeping. And I said, what? She said, because I'm thinking about the radio show. I'm not thinking about anything else. And I usually don't answer the phone right before the radio show. But she said, I'm sleeping. I said, what? Well, what did you do? She said, I did what you told me. I increased my progesterone. And that was absolutely so appropriate to start this show with. I also had another woman who who was complaining of incredible inflammation, her whole body inflamed. And I really wanted some blood tests and look at her hormones before I treated her, but she was in such severe sleep deficit that I wanted to help her in that way. So I had her draw her blood and then that night start progesterone. And so I spoke to her a week and a half later. I said, do you notice anything? She said, no, I don't notice anything. I said, well, really? How are you sleeping? She said, like a baby. So we have to mark what is going on. We have to really mark it and watch it. But guess what? I have
What?
women and men who can't stop eating carbs. It must be because they're weak. It must be they just can't control eating sweets and carbs. And come to find out, there's a whole entire pathway that people go through, and that pathway has to do with sleep, because when we sleep, the ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, if we're not going into a good sleep, goes up, and the satiation hormone goes down. So what happens is, in lack of sleep, our hunger hormone goes up by 24%, while our satiation hormone goes up by 18%. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, goes down by
Oh my
18%. So what we're dealing with is a 30-40% difference between our feeling. And then when we wake up, we crave and we can't stop craving. And it isn't because we're weak. It isn't because we have no self discipline. It's a physiologic hormonal change that's making us hungry. And our body is looking for energy because we didn't get enough sleep. Well, how do you get the fastest form of energy? Sugar. Sugar is the absolute fastest way to get your energy up. And what's happening is that we're seeing it in the hormonal balance that's happening when we're not getting enough sleep. But then we can also look at insulin. And you started on this, but insulin changes also because with lack of sleep and the shift in those hormones, ghrelin and leptin, the insulin becomes more resistant. So while we're not sleeping, we could be stimulating or aggravating a case of insulin resistance and increasing our glucose because our cells can't uptake it. And it can be the start of diabetes. So, Carol, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, that's a big problem. I'd like to add because all these things are happening, you're going into a hypoglycemic state. Your
Exactly.
glucose levels drop because you induced high insulin. You're finally getting some glucose into your tissues, but then your bloodstream drops and your brain is not getting enough glucose. So, this particular phenomenon of this low blood glucose stuff, I believe, is the prime cause for all vasomotor symptoms, whether it's hot flashes or night sweats. What happens when your blood glucose drops like that? Well, first thing that happens is your adrenaline shoots up because the main function of
Just like
that is
that.
just like that. The main function of that
Boom.
adrenaline is to bring your blood glucose up. You need glucose for your brain. Now, some people also say this is liver related because your liver has not stored enough glycogen for the night, or it can be related to what you're eating later in the day, or if you have this tendency. Women who have been wearing continuous glucose monitors can specifically see on those monitors a big dive in their blood glucose when they have these symptoms. So, I want to talk about interrupted sleep in the middle of the night. So, some of all of what you were saying, I sort of have a problem with understanding ghrelin and these hormones. I
Inulin.
don't know why I have a block, but
Oh, it's just amazing how essential it is when we're all struggling. So many of us are struggling with our weight and blaming ourselves because we're not able to control this craving. And then we look at our bodies and we find out that it's hormone driven.
yep,
It's
definitely.
just amazing. Go on, Carol.
Okay, so you go to sleep just fine. You're tired and you go to bed and you sleep for a couple hours and bang, particularly the witching hours, 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Up comes our melatonin during that first part of the sleep. Go on.
Okay, so when this happens, down with the blood sugar, up with the adrenaline, and that adrenaline just like pops your eyes open, or you have a vasomotor thing, and you may not be able to turn it off so easily. This can be a problem of not being able to turn it off, and you can't go back to sleep. And so there's multiple things that are involved here, which progesterone, this is one pathway where progesterone can balance that adrenaline. Cortisol's gone up with that too, that high adrenaline, cortisol. And when you're in this state for a long time with that high cortisol, guess what you end up developing? That abdominal obesity, fat storage. You impair your thyroid function, you impair your testosterone function, all from that extra cortisol because of the adrenaline. So, what do you do in the middle of the night? One, you can use progesterone. Two, you can eat something. This was called, back in the 1930s, it was called liver insomnia. They described that blood sugar drop, and they recommended that you put an apple at your bedside when you go to bed at night and eat that apple when you wake up. So that's going to raise your blood sugar. Lots of fiber in the apple, so it stabilizes it. You don't need to keep making adrenaline to keep making glucose, and you can fall back asleep. Corinne, should we give our phone number out?
In a little bit, I want to talk a little bit on it starts out, we have a signaling that happens through our eyes when the light goes down. And that signaling is through special cells in the back of our eyes that signal our pituitary that darkness is coming. And then our body starts making melatonin. Once it makes melatonin, it holds for a period of time, and we go into a sleep state. And then our body, then it goes from melatonin to DHEA to growth hormone. And growth hormone is our healing hormone. Our body starts to heal itself with the growth hormone. We cleanse, we build muscle, we strengthen bone, all with growth hormone. And when growth hormone is finished, it then converts to testosterone. During that period of time, the cortisol is very, very low. It's supposedly the lowest throughout the whole day because everything is cyclical. And in the middle of the night, cortisol is supposed to be the lowest in the day. If it's elevated, like Carol just mentioned, if it surges up, that cycle of creating and rebuilding our hormones is disrupted. And the cycle of rebuilding and strengthening our bones and our muscles is disrupted. And then we wake up in the morning without, and it seems strange because the cortisol was elevated in the night, but there is a morning cortisol surge that we look forward to because that's the surge that tells us, oh, let's meet our day, let's get going, well, that doesn't happen. So here we are, we wake up with a relatively low cortisol, and now we're tired. And what happens when we're tired? When we're tired, our thyroid is lowered. When our thyroid is lowered, it doesn't allow us to balance, one, our progesterone, but also our energy. Our ability to make energy is impeded by the fact that the rhythm is off. But I want to mention one other thing. Do you know one of the big factors of breaking the rhythm? Blue light. Blue light. And
from
your
computer, your
yes,
phone.
well, yes, computer and phone. And it very specifically affects the cells in the back of the eye that then register that it's getting dark and and melatonin should be made. So the minute we turn on, so it's getting dark, we turn on the blue screen, and what happens? Boom. That process of building up our melatonin to put us to sleep is completely interfered with. And there we are. And now we have to start over again. And it takes time. So our body loses its rhythm for that. So let me just give out our number because we'd like to hear from you. because sleep is a big problem for many of us, and more of a problem than we think for many more of us. And there's lots more to talk about in terms of how it balances our fertility, how it balances our mood. It goes on and on. We've got a cascade of hormones that sleep affects. So the number to call is 212-209-2877. It's 212-209-2877. We'd love you to join the conversation. It's a new year, a new time, and we'd love to hear from you and share with us your experience. Share with us what worked, what doesn't work, what you've had trouble with, or how you don't have problems with that because you have created a balance in your life. They find that when students have one less hour of sleep a night, one less, they're able to measure it in their IQ scores and their grades go down. Whereas when they sleep more, their grades go up. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but cumulatively, it makes a big difference. So it's 0.4%, which that's not a lot. Try 10 days of it.
Yes, or
It's
decades of it.
or decades of it, or 4 years of being in college, or guess what? They used to do doctors. I don't know if they still do, but we had 24 and 36-hour rounds where we would just go into rooms and fall asleep for an hour or so, and then someone would come in and wake you up. How can people be their brightest, their sharpest, their
They
most
can't.
alert, most aware while they're dealing with very stressful situations?
I hope they've done away with that.
I don't, I
don't
really
know.
don't, I don't know anymore. I'm sorry, I don't know. So the number to call is 212-209-2877 and call and share with us your experiences. So I'm going to tell us an experience and then I'll pass it back to you, Carol. I had a woman who couldn't get pregnant and she came to me and we worked on her nutrition and we literally rearranged her life, dietary, supplemental. But then, as last resort, we changed her bedroom. And so this has been a couple of months in the building. Last resort, we changed her bedroom. We put blackout. She lived in the city and she was near a light that was flashing. We put blackout shades up and we had those shades completely closed every night from a period of time, from the time she was going to bed to she woke up. And she reported that the quality of her sleep had increased so much in 2 months after we made that change and built her health, but that was over months. She was pregnant. So I always say I got her pregnant, but not exactly. So
So
that
you did.
that was pretty exciting. Carol?
I want to just finish up a little bit on that high adrenaline in the middle of the night. About
Okay.
40% of the population are poor methylators.
Oh,
And
yes.
estrogen, adrenaline, histamine all has to be detoxed with methyl groups. So if this is part of your picture, you really need to add like methylfolate, methylated B12, betaine is trimethylglycine, phosphatidylcholine becomes betaine, SAMe are all things that you can help with that methylation process. Additionally to that, progesterone has a second mechanism that it helps you with sleep. And this is the enzyme 5-alpha reductase converts progesterone to allopregnanolone. Allopregnanolone is the activated progesterone that sits on your GABA receptor and produces calmness. Now, allopregnanolone in some can be quite a big amount and cause enough drowsiness like a phenobarbital might cause. It can be quite intense. Or it can just calm you enough so your mind quiets and you can go to sleep. But it's all through the GABA receptor that this relaxation and sleep induction comes from.
Carol, we
Yeah.
have 3 callers.
Oh my goodness.
Please, yes, please hold on. It might take a second to get to you because we'll be busy answering other people if you're not first. But please hold on because we'll get to you as soon as we can. Hello, you're live. Your name, please.
Yes, Happy New Year to you, ladies.
Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year.
Thank you. My name is Ed. I'm calling from Queens, New York.
Hi, Ed.
Question. Hi, how you doing? I had
Sure.
a question specifically pertaining to my circumstances. I work a night shift. I work from 10 at night till 6 in the morning. So sleep is kind of like a priority, but it's difficult for me. I wonder if you have any recommendations for someone in a position such as myself, where the normal hours of sleep are sort of like inverted.
That is a difficult one. It really is because the statistics on night workers are not my favorite. But
No.
at the same time, what I see people who work all night, then come home and have a dinner and then go to bed. And go to bed for a couple of hours. But what we want to do is, I really wouldn't like you to eat when you get home. If you're going to
No.
eat something, I would like it to be a thin, like a broth, maybe a bone broth, but very thin. And then,
I don't really eat when I get. I can't eat.
wonderful.
I really. It sits on my stomach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. Very good. And then I would like you to get blackout shades.
Okay.
And I would like you to black out your windows, and I would like you to tell your family or the people you love, please do not bother you for a minimum of 6, 7, 8 hours if possible, which becomes very difficult in the middle of the day. But the depth of your sleep is essential for you. And how long have you been working the night shift?
Oh, this particular job I've been working for about a year and a half. Excuse me, a year and a half. But I've always worked night shift pretty much for the type of work that I do. I'm an engineer, so I work primarily at night, the off hours in the building, so I can do a lot of work. What happens with me, just to give you a little brief history, when I go home, I won't be tired. I'll
Exactly.
stay up, I'll read something, or I'll go on the computer, or I'll mess with something, and then I'll fall asleep for a couple of hours, and it'll be an intense, deep sleep, and then I'll wake up again, and then it'll be like kind of cat napping and sitting down on a chair. It's not a direct line of sleep. I mean, when I first get home, I'm up for like an hour, maybe an hour or two, and then I'll fall into a deep, dreamful sleep, like for about 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours, and then I'm up until I got to go to work.
See,
And it really
Okay.
been an issue.
This
But
this
Carol?
is a wonderful time in the night that you could try a dose of progesterone. You may at that time already start having some glucose dropping that's giving you more adrenaline. And when you get home from work, you're in a high adrenaline state. It's absolutely essential you do like you're doing. You relax, kind of dampen down that adrenaline. That's what
but
helps you.
not with the blue light. Maybe
That's
with a book.
Yeah, and that gets you that starts helping you induce sleep. If you're wakeful during the night, also if you want to use melatonin when you first start getting sleepy, use some melatonin. That kind of resetting this circadian rhythm to a different time of day. And that's where those blackout shades are really important because we're so sensitive to light signals. We can't have that if we can get any sleep at all on this irregular kind of work cycle.
Yes,
Well, like I
and
said,
you know what? I understand that
those,
those are your
those,
habits,
okay.
but this is the time to work on changing them for optimal health.
Okay.
Because it sounds like you're not getting enough sleep. Your life might change if you get a little more sleep. One, your hormones will go up. You'll balance your blood sugar better, and you'll be more alert for when your family is around or your people are around. And so think about it that way, that this is a time to make some changes. This is a really good year to make changes. I know it's happening in my life, and hopefully it'll happen with you. You haven't had the information you needed. Now, hopefully we gave you quite a bit, but there is more. And you can look it up, or maybe we'll be able to share some more as the show goes on.
Well,
So
what do you recommend? Like, go on what website, or is there like a Facebook
you
page, something like that, where I get more information?
you could type in into AI quality. Yeah, exactly. Sleep quality for night workers. How to enhance sleep quality for night workers. You might be surprised at what comes up. You might not like some of it, so type it into another search engine and find out what works for you. But you need better sleep,
Yeah, and
because
one more
you want to help yourself, you want to help your heart, you want to help your brain. We know that people who do not sleep enough, they have brain changes. They're measurable brain changes, and you don't need that. You're too smart. We already know that. Okay?
and just one more
Thank you.
question. Yeah, because one
Well,
more question.
yeah,
About this,
I got two other people waiting, so if it's not a fast one, what is it quickly?
about the sardine diet you were talking about last week.
Oh, I love that. I just
That's
absolutely love it.
that's just with spring water sardines. No oil
It
Yes,
sardines, just spring water, or
is
what?
spring
spring
water
water or
or
olive oil.
mustard, or
Okay.
and olive
Spring
oil,
water,
mustard.
mustard, or olive oil.
Spring water, mustard, olive. Okay, great.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Enjoy. Tell me how it works for you. I loved it.
Okay.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Happy New Year. Hi, you're live. Your name, please.
Good afternoon. Carlos from New Jersey.
Happy New Year.
New Year.
New Year. I am miserable at the making appointments on the website. How do I
Oh,
get an in-person appointment with you, Corinne?
I'm sorry. You know what? Well, this isn't really the time, but you could text me and ask questions. This isn't really on the radio. I would not like to speak about it, but I would love to help you in any way I can. And if there's a problem with the website, I'll pull in my web guy, my handy dandy trusty web guy,
No, it's
and he'll
just
help us, because
age
he's
difference.
changed my life, let me tell you. Go on.
It's just the age. At 68, using the whatever these electronic things are doesn't work too well with.
Darling, you're a young'um.
All right, I will text you.
Oh, good. I look forward to it. Thank you. Hi, you're live. Your name,
Hello,
please?
can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Absolutely perfectly. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm David. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Perfectly.
David.
Hi, David.
Hi. Okay, I have two questions for you, please. First of all, many times at night, like 11 p.m., I get starvingly hungry.
Oh, my
I can eat
goodness.
almost anything, and a lot of times, like I'll eat carbohydrates like potato chips, which I really shouldn't have in the house, or party mix, and then in the morning, I noticed that I suffer tremendous depression after a night of eating like carbohydrates. And so my first question is, do you know why carbs seem to cause depression in me in the morning. And then the second question I have is, I tend to wake up. You were kind of talking about this earlier, like I wake up at 5 in the morning and I can't fall back asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had friends say to me I should like watch TV or try to read, and I can't do anything. I just sit in bed going, I wish I could sleep. So do you recommend eating something?
Yes. Yes. But when you eat something, well, potato chips, the salt is good. You can have plenty of salt, but you should have carbohydrates with fat and with protein to help your body sustain its blood glucose level.
I have to say,
So
it's almost impossible to hear you.
it's impossible to hear me?
Now I hear you.
Okay. I got a little closer to the mic. So when you're hungry like that, along with the ghrelin and the other hormones, your blood glucose has dropped. And when you go for carbohydrates, it's the quickest thing to bring it up. But
I
if you
absolutely can't hear you. So you know what? I'm gonna listen off.
Okay, listen on without being on the phone. Okay, I'll take just a minute. Okay, so what he's describing is he's craving carbohydrates, and you're craving that because your blood glucose has dropped.
And your cortisol is
Cortisol, adrenaline will come up when
and
that's happening.
insulin has surged.
So what you want to do is you do want to eat. You want some carbohydrate to bring your blood glucose up, but you want the protein and fat components to kind of keep you stabilized afterwards. When you go all the way to the morning, and so you're settled for a while, when you do have your chips or whatever, then your glucose is dropping again, and you're on high alert. Your mind is racing. You can't settle. That means you need to eat again because your blood sugar is dropped. And low blood glucose, hypoglycemia, can bring on this depressive effect. Also, can be the myriad of hormones that are misaligned for you. So food is very powerful for helping with this, but over long term, look into methylation, as I spoke about before, and progesterone helps men with this very much too. About 200 milligram dose on the progesterone for men.
Okay, the number to call is 212-209-2877. It's 212-209-2877. We'd love to hear from you. And the depression can be very well linked, as Carol said, to the imbalance of the hormones. You didn't you didn't have a chance to build up your growth hormone, which is your healing hormone, which heals your body and your mind. And you also are not building up your testosterone, which in men and women make them feel very alert and very well and very ready to approach their day. So,
It's kind of
eating
a double-edged sword, by the way, with the
exactly.
testosterone will stabilize your blood glucose. So if you don't have enough testosterone, that's another contributor to this issue with the low blood glucose. But conversely, you're unable to make more because you're not sleeping. So it's kind of
You've
a
got a circle
downward
there.
spiral. Yeah.
Spiral. My spirals. I love
Yes,
spirals.
spirals.
They
Yeah.
all
So,
go on. They balance
okay.
each
So
other.
right. So sometimes as you age, both men and women, as testosterone drops, you're more prone to insulin resistance. So something to check.
And depression.
Yep, very much so.
Yes. So, looking at your foods, understand what's happening when you start craving in the evening. You have to really look a little earlier than that. You have to look at your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner. You have to look at all of those because, first of all, in the morning when you eat high carbs, what happens? Your insulin goes up and you're hungry all day long. It's
Yes,
not
that's
like it's not like your insulin goes up for breakfast and then it goes down again. No, it goes up and it stays up all day long and it resets the next morning. So you just to look at the evening, I don't know what your stress level is. I once had a woman who was a lawyer, very intense, high powered lawyer. And she said when at work, she was totally dietarily in control. She came home, no matter what time she came home, she was like a machine. She craved food so severely that she literally, in order not to just eat and eat and eat, she went to bed to block that eating surge. It looks like we have more callers, so we'll go right to the audience, Carol. Hi, you're live. Your name, please.
Noel.
Hi,
Hi.
Noel.
Happy New Year.
I'd like to wish all of you a very happy New Year and a prosperous one. And I hope more people would listen to programs like this. To the gentleman, Ed, I would like to suggest a few things that were not brought up. Number one, I would say a grounding mattress.
Yep.
Oh,
You know, a grounding pad, right?
Yes,
Yes.
You let it
definitely.
free.
Yep.
I would also put underneath that, I would sleep with magnets, a good magnetic blanket. And also I would recommend L-theanine, or some people pronounce it L-theanine.
Yes.
What do you geniuses believe?
Yeah, very, very much. I'd like to L-theanine and will go to the GABA receptor. I sort of mentioned this in relationship to progesterone. Activates the GABA receptor. So does magnesium. So does magnesium L-threonate is the only magnesium that's brain active. And where is it active? At the GABA receptor. All of these are giving you a sense of calm and help sleep be induced. The other things that you have, I sleep on magnets too. You're helping your energy sources and you're helping with the grounding energy, because we do have a lot of electromagnetic disturbances in our lives, more than just the blue light, as Corinne had brought before. So those are really great suggestions for helping
Yes,
you be able
ma'am.
to sleep.
Can you repeat again? You mentioned a certain type of magnesium. Could you say that again?
Magnesium L-threonate.
L-threonate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So that does cross the blood-brain barrier and get into the GABA receptor, which is.
And the thing about the magnets is you want to test your magnets before you buy them, because sometimes they're so strong that they keep you awake. They can be almost too strong. So you have to find out how sensitive you are and test your magnets, but they can be really powerful and extremely helpful. So I think we have another caller. Hi, you're live. Your name, please. Hello?
Caller, you're on the air. You can speak at any time. All right, look like we lost that caller.
Okay. Do we have any more?
Not right now.
Okay, the number to call is 212-209-2877. That's 212-209-2877. But we didn't even really speak about the nutrients for sleep. One really powerful nutrient that can be very effective for many, many of us is tryptophan.
Yep.
And tryptophan is the precursor to serotonin, which is a precursor to melatonin. So again, we have a little pathway that it goes along. And tryptophan can be very beneficial. And you put that together with magnesium, and you might have a really wonderful support for sleeping. And I remember when tryptophan was just discovered, or we just learned about it. And it was at a time when a new sleep med came out. And so they started attacking tryptophan and how dangerous it is and everything. They even pulled it off the market. But some non reputable manufacturers did not make the purest tryptophan. But then they put it back on the market and they then regulated the purity. And there's been no problem since. But tryptophan can be very beneficial. There's also the 5-HT, which is an activated tryptophan. Your body doesn't need to break it down. Can be very, very beneficial also for helping sleep.
Okay, now we have 3 callers holding.
Hey, wonderful. Hi. You're live. Your name, please?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Sean.
Hi, Sean.
Hi. This is my first time calling in. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm glad you got through.
Thank you so much for this talk. It's been so insightful.
Our pleasure.
I generally sleep pretty well, but I am curious about the importance of mattresses, and like I heard one caller talk about the grounding mattress, and then you started talking about the magnets. How would someone go about figuring out the sensitivity to magnets? And because that sounds interesting to me, and I would love to try it out.
You basically have to try it.
Exactly.
That's the only way to do it. Actually, some companies that have sold these things would, give you 30 days to try it to see if it's good for you, and know right away it improves your sleep if that's going to help you. So buy one, try it, and return it if it doesn't work.
The grounder is a little different. It's milder, but also quite effective in that it changes. I don't exactly, the mechanism of grounding. It releases much of the inflammation, or the molecular inflammation in the body, and it's released through the grounding. And it's done, you can ground by walking barefoot on the earth. They also have pads where you can ground. And there's always in your plug, where you plug in, you have 3 prongs. Well, the third prong is a grounder, and it's grounding to the earth to protect the household. And that's what this grounding pad is all about. Can be quite reasonable. You can buy them in sheets or pads and put them on you at night, and they have silver threads in them. Go on.
That is so cool. I'm definitely going to check it out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Stephen Sinatra wrote a book on grounding. You can look it up. Very, very good book. I read it so many years ago, I'm hesitating because I want to be accurate. Hi, you're live. Your name, please?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. We hear you.
My name is Bob. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Absolutely perfectly. How can we help you?
Well, I did not sign on the beginning of the show, so I apologize if you've already been asked these questions and answered them. I take a high dose of sublingual melatonin every night, and I sleep with a mask. Could you comment on the positive and potential negative impacts of either of those 2 behaviors? I recently heard from a friend of mine that her doctor told her to stop taking melatonin. So my understanding is melatonin also downregulates inflammation. So what are the benefits of what I'm doing, and what are the challenges? I will also say that when I wake up in the morning, I do feel somewhat, let's say, drugged, if you will. That's an exaggeration. I get over that with a cup of coffee and move forward. But given that, what advice would you give me?
Well, it sounds, actually, to me, it sounds like a wonderful program. I very much appreciate the high dose. I very much appreciate the high dose melatonin. I think it's very good for many of us. Maybe you're on a little bit higher dose than what you might want. You might try lowering it just a little, but high dose melatonin is an anti inflammatory. It protects against very specific, particularly prostate and breast cancers. Studies have been done, but also studies out of Spain show that it's a very good immune stimulator. And now we can go down the pathway of melatonin and see how, by going into such a deep sleep, that you are then stimulating the hormones like growth hormone that stimulates your immune cells, like testosterone that stimulates your immune cells, and the DHEA. So that, let's make the assumption that that's the pathway. I love the fact that you're wearing a mask. People who wear masks report the fact that they sleep better and deeper. It's absolutely excellent. So I
Same
would
as the
just,
blackout shades.
exactly.
You're cutting out the light. The same thing. This brings up a question in my mind. I always wondered why they say to make your room completely black. In nature, we have sometimes at night we have some very bright nights
Well,
with the full moon. And so, what does that mean to our sleep? Why are we going for a full blackout? It's always been a question in my mind.
Well, we don't completely, at least the way I did it. With young women, I would, which is the majority, has been the majority of my practice up to now. Now I'm dealing more with both men and women, but I have them black out from their menses to minimum of 14 days, depending on their cycle, to ovulation. And then they can, but remove their mask or slightly open, because then that's when the moon would be coming out. You know, if you really look at ancient people where there were large communities, it was women would have their menses all on the same few days,
Mm-hmm.
all of them, because their menses and their cycle followed the moon. So when I'm recommending blackout shades, I recommend it for half month.
Okay. And Bob, could you say what high dose melatonin? What's the high dose?
I'm having trouble hearing you for some reason. I wanted to turn off the radio, so when I'm listening, but I could not quite hear what you said.
The dose of melatonin that you
I take
use?
40 milligrams, and I got that idea because I was aware of a company that was using 40 milligrams IV in cancer and sepsis, which are both inflammatory diseases, and I thought it would be a pretty good idea. I'm a cancer recovering person, a prostate cancer recovering person, and I thought that would be a good idea to help downregulate inflammation.
Yeah, good idea. I like it.
It sounds like, oh, guess what? I wasn't even watching. It is time. We're at the end of the show. My goodness. Thank you, Bob. Happy New Year to you. And do
And by
feel
the
free
way,
to
for your
call again. And Carol, what's your website?
My website is thewellnessbydesignproject.com. I have a YouTube channel with the same name. We have a Facebook page, Take Charge of Your Health with Corinne and Carol, and you can private message us there if you'd like. We'd like to hear if you have topics you would like us to cover or questions. And
We
Corinne?
we also opened up three things. We opened up a Facebook page, Progesterone for Men, which is just, people are really responding. My website is Corine, Corinne, health.com. And we also were live on YouTube. So this, if you missed anything, Bob, you can go back to the YouTube and see us live. So you can catch anything you missed. Also, we're in the archives at WBAI. Thank you very much, Reggie. Thank you so much for helping us. Jeremy, thank you. And we'll be back next week. We've got quite a unique show next week.
Bye.
Bye. Happy New Year.